Welcome to the Positive People Show. Welcome, welcome. And here I am in my banana suit with my lovely friend Sarah Griffith and Patrick Durey. And we are here to discuss joy. Okay, so and the banana suit is specifically because when I put it up today on Facebook, on LinkedIn, I had pictures of Sarah and I at her book launch, where she was launching her book. It was 2 years ago in July. My Mom's a Superhero. And Patrick was there as well, with his lovely wife Claire, and their 6 kids. And obviously Sarah there was too with Danny and 2 of her children at the time. She's now got another one since then. And it was about fun, it was about joy, it was about laughter. Patrick and his family were all dressed up. I was dressed up, and what a joyful day we had. It was lovely, wasn't it? So that was the reason for, and then I get associated with the banana suit, don't I? So I'm going to take it off now. And maybe I might do a bit of a strip off, folks, because it's a bit warm today for a banana suit. Okay. And I get my Positive People Show hat on. And here we go. Right. Welcome, welcome. You've both been on the Positive People Show before. And it was amazing to have you and let you tell your stories. And then I had two that I thought it was going to be set up for today, and we had to do a change of plans. And I thought, right, I've got loads of people on my list that are down to come on, but maybe it's a bit short notice. And I rang you, Tony, says it's Joyful June. That's what we're doing this month. And what better to have 2 of my best buddies on to talk about joy. So welcome. I'm going to be quiet now and let you say something. Sarah, do you want to go first? Let me know what you feel about the word joy.
Okay, so I was thinking about this last night, the night after we spoke, and joy. So what joy means for me, and joy for me is like elevated happiness. So right. We all strive to be happy and grateful, but joy is like next level happy. Yes. Joy is like just like happiness on steroids kind of thing, and it's just like, and then I was thinking, okay, so that's what joy means to me, and even when I say the word joy, my vibe goes up 10 levels. But then I was thinking, so what brings me joy? And it was like, okay, so obviously my kids, they light me up, they are just my why for everything. But also when I do something that makes somebody else happy or brings them joy, then I get my joy from someone else's joy. And it's like an abundance of happiness where you just, and then I think when you start the day on that vibe, it just gets more and more and more, and it becomes more and more abundant and more, like you start seeing the beauty and the magic in absolutely everything, and it pours out of you, and then it pours into your surroundings, and it's like a self-fulfilling abundance of just loveliness. And yeah.
Lovely. Thank you. And that says it all, really, because I feel as well it is. And the thing is, growing up, you never really heard the word joy, did you? You didn't. No. You would have heard, oh, be happy and happiness, but you never heard the word joy. And it's only when I started then really looking into it and studying it. You might have heard it at Christmas, joy at Christmas, but that would have been it. It would have been once a year. But then when I started doing my studying around positivity and all, and then especially this book that I've been really looking at, and my positivity palette course is kind of based around this positive psychologist. And she talks about joy. And she says, visualize this, your surroundings are safe and familiar. Things are going your way, even better than you expected. At the moment, these situations require little effort on your part. They are the circumstances that spark joy, if you'd had the good fortune. And then she goes on and gives an example. And then she talks about reasons, joy feels bright and light, colours seem more vivid. There's a spring in your step and your face lights up with a smile and an inner glow. You feel like taking it all in. You feel playful. You want to jump in and get involved. And I suppose that's why that word is kind of probably associated as well around for children, because you see children being so joyful. And so happy and playful, and those words, it's like the words nearly not associated with being an adult. It's okay to feel joyful when you're a child, but not an adult. Isn't that right?
Or even like you say at Christmas, it's like once a year, limited time offer, almost unachievable, you know, but it's so achievable. And a child is a perfect example. Like they can get so much joy out of smearing their face in chocolate, like so, you know, something so like so it just it's something that I think as adults we need to reclaim it and go, okay, I'm going to bring joy to my day. I'm not going to wait for Christmas, or I'm not going to wait to win the lottery. I can be the creator of my own joy and find joy in the simplest of things. And that's
brilliant. So Patrick, what's your take on joy?
My take on joy, like most people, like the way Denise described it, it's not a word that you would hear very much growing up. And if you look at it in the dictionary, well, why have we got that word called joy, and what does that mean? And then we dictionary just say something like it's a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. And that doesn't really say much, you know, that kind of way. But as you say, as Sarah's even saying, like it's the natural state for kids. And even us adults, believe it or not, we're just grown up kids, and we do this thing called adulting. You know, and it reminded me then of a quote, I think it's Piglet and Winnie the Pooh sitting having a wee conversation. And Piglet asked Winnie the Pooh, how do you spell love? And what Winnie says, or one of them says, I'm back to each other, then says, well, you don't spell it, you feel it.
Brilliant. That says it all. Because most of adults go about like this, don't they? Well, not most adults, but a lot of the time, you know, it's external circumstances that bring us to be gloomy and sad and a bit of an Eeyore, like, and you know, we weren't designed to be like that. We came into this life to be one of the Poohs, not Eeyores, to be
or
joyful.
Even.
Yeah, sorry.
Tigger's like next level. He's like
it's like I used to have the whole set of them. I don't know where they are now. Actually, the Tigger and everything. But so joy is, and when I decided to do this Joyful June, even though we're just into the third day of it, when I was out on my walk yesterday, and then I stopped to climb up this fence of this field that I just love overlooking the foil, and it's just so pretty, and there was just loads of birds singing, and the starlings were just like really, really coming together, and it was just so beautiful. I climbed up the top of the gate, and I sat on it, and I thought, this is joy. But I think unless I go do that walk every day and I feel happy and I feel joyful, but unless you're sometimes really focusing on a word and the feeling of it, it's great because it gives you the intention then to really focus in on it, doesn't it? And because of that, now I'm really looking out for things that are joy and in the simplest of things. And as you both say, like children, like Patrick, we've called up to see you last night, you know, after the kids are in the full communion and confirmation this week, and we brought Esme, who's coming 5, and she the wee give the others money, we gave her like a wee magazine, you know, the kids magazines that they love, and she had such joy in taking off, you know, the wee bracelet, and then she had like a wee looked like a wee lollipop, but it was like a wee lip gloss, and she was giving Emer some of the lip gloss, and the simplicity of like a magazine with like wee trinkets in it, and such joy in that child getting that magazine. Like if you'd given her £1 million, like she wouldn't have, you know what I mean? It's just so beautiful the way children, the simplicity of everything is just amazing, and they just take it all in. And I feel joy is about going back to that childlike and playfulness and seeing it in everything. And I suppose I just want to ask you both, what about times where you have to do something where it doesn't feel like joy? Like, for example, for me, it's doing admin. Admin to me is always a chore. And I remember at a positive parties, I would be talking about that thing like Brian Tracy talks about, eat the frog, get most of the important things done today. So it's like, do the things that you don't like doing, that aren't joyful first thing in the morning, and get them over and done with. You know, it's like, you had to eat the frog, eat it in the first time of the day, rather than, not very good for the vegetarians, but eat it, don't have it sitting on the top of the computer looking at you all day. And in a way that is good, but in another way you would hear people say, well, just feel joy in everything you do, put 100% into everything. What are your takes on that? The things that you don't like to do, that don't bring you joy, what do you do there?
Who wants to go? Will I go first?
Yeah, go you first.
So if we have exactly the same kind of pressure point, admin, and particularly for me, it's admin around finance and around my business. So it's just like, oh, but so I was like, okay, so I have to do this. I have to get it done. So I need to reframe this.
Yeah.
So then it was like, okay, how lucky am I? How fortunate am I to have just set up my own business at a time when things were so like haphazard and difficult for so many people. People were losing things. I was so fortunate to be able to be still, be present, and actually create something new, not only a new business, but a new life, a new son. So I am so fortunate and so grateful to be in that position. And yes, I'm not making millions of pounds, but I'm creating something. It's the start of something, and it's got the green shoots are there, you know.
Wow.
And so how grateful and lucky am I to be even able to submit accounts to somebody to look at?
Oh, wow.
And so I went in with that mindset, and I was like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing here, but I'm doing this so somebody who is better qualified and knows what they're doing can take over and take the burden off me. And so when I did it with that kind of frame of mind of like, I'm doing this, I'm fortunate to be able to do this, and I'm calling in somebody else who can help me and take the weight off me. I felt like a queen when I was submitting the accounts to the accountant. I was like, this is like the fact that I was able to sit down, do the spreadsheet, and then hand it over to her and go, okay, here, now you. And we've put everything in place so that I don't have that slog now each time. Brilliant. Like I'm doing it month by month, bit by bit, and it's so much more manageable for me. So for me, it's like reframe your mindset and say, okay, and actually somebody, I was thinking about this morning too. I was speaking to some friends. We were going through some pretty, I think the energies have been pretty heavy, and it's kind of like wading through treacle over the last month or so.
Yeah.
And it was really, really hard. And then we were kind of going, okay, the worst thing you can say to somebody when you're in that mindset is there's always someone worse off.
Yeah.
Because we know that, but that doesn't help you when you're in the doldrums. Like, you need to, and what came to my mind then was when I started off doing like coaching and life coaching and stuff like that, someone once said to me, there are people who would give anything for your life. And initially I was like, oh my, no, they would. Like, you've no idea what I go through, and you've no idea. But then when I sat back and thought about it, I was like, God, yeah, people would love to be me and would love to have what I have, and you know, see the world the way I see it. And then I was like, that's my kind of responsibility to the world, to help people to see things in a different way. And it really reframed that and flipped it for me. So yeah, maybe not thinking about, oh, I wish I didn't have to do this, or I shouldn't complain because there's always someone worse off. Look at it another way and go, I am so fortunate, and there are people who would give anything to be in my shoes right now. And that gives you much more buoyancy and much more energy to do more and be more, because it just reframes it and just shines a bit more sunshine on it. So that's kind of where, when I'm doing my spreadsheet, that's kind of where I come from. There are people who would love to be in the position of submitting accounts to somebody to go, okay, like say I haven't made $1 million or even made anything really, but it's like I still had fun trying, and next year will be better, and next year, you know what I mean? So
you're planting the seed. So it's turning it around. Instead of being the victim going, oh my goodness, I have to sit and do this, I hate doing this, blah blah blah. It's like reframe it and saying, you know what, I am so grateful, I am so joyful, I am so lucky, I am so blessed. And it's just using all those positive words and those positive
and remembering why you're doing it in the first place. So for me, everything I do is so I can spend more time with my family. And eventually I will be in a place where I can work less and you know, do less, make more, and you know what I mean? So and it's just keeping that why in my mind, and I want my kids to grow up believing that they can be and do whatever they want to do. So I have to lead from the front and show them that I'm doing that. So
oh, brilliant, fantastic. That is brilliant. Such a brilliant answer there. Thank you so much. Totally. And it's the real NLP thing about reframing everything, isn't it? Yeah, fantastic. Right, Patrick, what about you? If there's something, well, Patrick, kind of, you're Mr. Put your hand at anything, like, isn't he, Sarah? We always laugh at Patrick. Patrick's like, Patrick doesn't know how to do it, he just learns how to do it. So you're Mr. Man of all trades. And so tell us what you do if there's something that you think, oh, flip, I don't really want to do that. It's not, it doesn't feel like joy. How do you turn it around so that it becomes, yeah, I'm going to feel the joy.
One way that I would think on it is, there was a great thing I heard a few years ago, and I did learn it at school, but it never really sort of struck me. But over the past couple of years, is that our feelings are here, or whatever is present is just here. It's not me, it's not on me or anything like that. It's just here in my life. And so I assume that joy is here as much as it is for a kid, and they see it and live it and breathe it. It's almost like their natural state.
Yeah.
And I think, well, that must be true for me too. But there's another thing that comes under the road. So we're talking about admin tasks and things like that, just the stuff that we really just don't, stuff that we wouldn't really want to do. We have a serious element of ourselves that is just sort of wanting to get in the picture. Look, we need to get this done, Patrick. And it's allowing the joy to shine through that.
Yeah.
And being patient enough to allow that and explore it. And as a child, make a game out of it.
Yeah.
You know, how can I get this task done that needs done in a way that I feel the joy, or I can express my joy through the seriousness of whatever it is. Now I'm using the word serious as in, there's a to-do list. I need to get this done, so it's more of a focus.
Yeah.
But it's actually sort of melding the two together, that they can coexist and find that expression through that then.
Yeah.
And I think even Sarah, I was even going to say, what Sarah's even describing there too, like the creation or being part of the process that she's in is where she can recognize that joy. Even when she's wading through treacle, I think is the way she put it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to remember too, we're all sitting there, oh, we don't like doing admin, but there's people out there that love admin. But the thought of coming on here and speaking live on Facebook or doing a Zoom or doing a presentation would totally freak them out, whereas the three of us can stand up at anywhere and do a talk and not a bother to us. So it's kind of knowing your limits too, knowing what you love, what you really, really love doing, and what is part of you, and what, okay, it's not my favorite thing, but I'll either delegate and get other people to do it, or I'll just get stuck in myself and do it. And it's that, I think it's in Napoleon Hill's book, he talks about, I think in Grow Rich, about doing those things that successful people do, the things that others don't want to do. They'll plod through it. They're like, I need to get this done. I want this business to be successful. I want to get out there. So I'm going to, do those things that I really don't want to. But if I'm going to make a success of something, I'm going to do it. So it's finding the joy in all parts of it. And also then, sourcing out the things that you really don't want to do. So that the people who do find a joy, like accountants that want, I always say, oh goodness, I don't know how anybody could be an accountant, but somebody could say, well, I don't know how you would stand up and do positive parties. So, it takes us all, like it takes all sorts, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's not a weakness to ask for help. In fact, it's a strength, because like I resisted. So even the word accountant made me recoil in horror, and then I was like, I can't be spending money on something until I'm making money. But actually, by resisting that and by trying to do the things myself that I did not have the brain or the heart or the energy for, I was actually stopping myself from making money, because I was wasting time that I could have been doing something creative, or something that brought me joy by not handing it over. And
Yeah, I found that too, with even getting stuff printed and all before, you can go in and design something yourself, but like I would have just sent it over to, Kaizen Prints, like that I did do all my printing of all my positive parties material, and I would have sent it over to them and said, right, okay, this is what I want, just lay it out like this, and then they would come back with this beautiful proof, and you're going, brilliant. But if you tried to set up and design it and set it all out yourself, we just spend hours of like stressful time, because that's not your thing. So that's why we get the experts in. So it's knowing where we can put joy into things that we have to focus on ourselves, but it's knowing as well when if there's something that we can pass over to somebody else, that's real their joy, let it go, don't resist it, and don't hold on to it, and we can get on creating and doing the joyful things that we want to do.
Exactly. And just what Patrick mentioned there, to-do list, and it just brought something to my mind as well. One of my colleagues talks about a to-do list instead of a to-do list. So instead of writing it instead of writing a list of things that she must do, at the end of every day, she writes her to-do list. So it's like, ta-da, look at all the things I achieved today. And then each day she sets like a competition with herself, or a wee like thing. Okay, so I had 6 things on that list today. I want to try and have 8 tonight or tomorrow. And it's lovely. So instead of looking at what she hasn't done on her to-do list, she focuses on her, ta-da, look what I've achieved. And it's so much better. Isn't it lovely? It's so, the energy of that is so different. And then you want to do more. You want more to celebrate every day. So you do more, you strive more each day to have more to celebrate at the end of the day. And I love it. It's lovely.
That's brilliant. I love that, because I know when I've been doing my TIR course, my thinking its results, and one of the things is to write down in the evening praise for yourself. And that's just one of those positive emotions too, that we're not giving ourselves praise, because I think I think growing up in Ireland, Northern Ireland, it was like, oh no, you don't praise, be showing off, blah, blah, blah. Who do you think you are? And then it was like every night, just write down, what did I do today? What did I achieve today? What lovely things happened today? And when you're looking back and you're praising yourself, it's like celebrating your wins. Celebrate the small things. You just don't have to wait to the great big things. It's like celebrating the wins every step of the way, and just, so that's so important. It's like, as well, when I was talking to Jennifer Maher last week, she was talking about your brag bag, and remember that as well. Have a brag bag. So at times when you're beating yourself up, going, oh, I haven't done this or haven't done that, just something to sit and look at all the things that you've done, and your kids and your partner and your friends, and just anything that you think, oh my goodness, I did that, I achieved that, that's been amazing. Anything that you do, and you just put that on your brag bag. You're like, wow, I'm brilliant. On a day that you've beaten yourself up, that you think you haven't done enough. Does anybody do that at times? Patrick, what about you? Do you ever beat yourself up for not doing enough, or are you very, very good at not doing that? I'd say you don't go down that rabbit hole, do you?
I don't get very puzzled like that. But one thing, even with the to-do list, something I found was helpful to do, that I noticed, I thought, gee, that's actually quite good, is I would just do, if I would write my list out and I would hammer through it, and I would delete all the stuff that I'd done when I'd done it.
Yeah.
And then all I found that I was looking at was a list of things to do. And you'd go,
oh, I know.
That kind of way.
Yeah.
Whereas then what I decided to do one day, then an idea comes, and it's like, well, what if you just highlight the things that you've done green?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you'll actually see, right, this is what I've done, which is very similar to what Sarah's saying with the thing, it's like, you know what? And now when I look at it now, I can see more green than the other stuff. And it's like, yeah, I know I'm kind of moving forward or something. And that's a very gentle shift like that. But they approach something, like I like to approach something as best I can in a neutral way. So, and show up to whatever it is. And then, like, what can I do with that? Because I know if I show up with a very serious sort of head on me, or a very stressed kind of head, or I would sit anything I would describe as the blinkers on. You don't see everything when you have the blinkers on. You only see one thing.
Yeah.
The shit on the road, as I put it. Excuse the French. But if you just approach something as openly as you can and say, look, this is what it is. Whatever it is, I'm going to be able to handle it the best way I can, and all I can do is my best. And you open your own mind up to new ideas coming. And you're like, whoa, where did that idea come out of? And you seem to make yourself you seem to take a few more steps forward than steps back. And that's just my sort of experience on it,
And I think sometimes stopping to be still and just enjoying joy, right? I know that sounds about enjoying joy, but yesterday morning, I had just got like a message back from, it was kind of late notice too for Sean and John Paul were going to become on a show, and then it was late notice I got in touch with them. It's just something they're doing at the minute, Sean Grant and John Paul Taggart, and they were going to come on, and then they couldn't make it, and it was now kind of late notice of sorting it out, but there's things they're doing at the minute that I thought, oh, it would be great to have them on now. And I thought, okay, I have loads of people on my positive people list that I know would want to come on, and I could ring around a few people and see if they want to come on tomorrow. And then I just thought, no, sit for a wee minute, and just sit. So I sat outside, I hung up a washing, the sun. No, I sat first, that's right. I just sat, had a coffee, closed my eyes, The sun was just beautiful yesterday morning. It was just all down, and I just sat in the silence. And then I thought, right, okay, I'll go and hang up this washing. I was sitting in the basket. And when I was hanging up the washing, I was like, do you know what? This month, I'm focusing on Joyful June. I'm going to see if Patrick and Sarah are free, and I'll get my buddies in, and we'll not do what do you do? Tell us your positive stories and tell us about your life and tell us where you've been. Let's just talk about joy. So I suppose my whole point of saying that is it was in that moment of me being still and just being in the now and just sitting in the joy of the sun and the heat and the sensing all around me, this noise and the smells. That's when the idea came in to say, let's do this today. You know, and I feel when we stop, be still and sit in joy, that's when ideas come in. That's when divine inspiration come in. Do you feel that as well? Does anybody have an experience of that?
Totally, completely and utterly. And another thing that just came to my mind when you were saying that too, how often, and I'm as guilty of this, more guilty probably than anyone else, how often is something amazing happening and your first thought is, I have to lift this and take a picture of it or do a video of it. Or what about just putting that to one side and actually looking through your two eyes, never mind the lens, and actually being fully present with it? And I mean, my kids are a classic example, and even my boy, he's only 6 months old, and if I'm feeding him and I'm breastfeeding him and I may be scrolling through my phone and he will actually kick the phone out of my hand at 6 months old, and he's like, no, you know, like obviously he's not verbal yet, but he's like, I want your eyes on me and I want to have this time with you. Don't you dare lift your phone. And he will actually kick it out of my hand with it. And it's a lovely, like they say, children are our greatest teachers. Definitely, like they will demand your attention. But it's so like sometimes I find we're so sort of caught up in, I want to share my joy with the outside world, that you actually don't allow yourself to fully immerse and experience it properly. And life isn't supposed to be lived through a lens. It's supposed to be person-to-person connection, you know, like real connection. And that, okay, the last year has been different, but I think it's really important that we fully experience in full 3D the real, and 4D actually, the real joy that's in front of us without trying to filter it and edit it and send it out into the world, you know.
I know. I feel that as well at times, and I know sometimes I would go to take a picture of Neil and the girls or something, or like if some mum and dad or whatever, and I'll go and take a picture, and and Neil goes, why does that always come down? We're just about to eat and you're taking the picture, and then he always has a grumpy face. He's like, he doesn't do so. And I'm like, I just want to take a wee picture and remember the moment. They're like, well, we can remember it. We don't need a picture of it. And it's not always that, it's not that I would be posting it or anything. I just want the picture. And they all get annoyed at me and say, oh, would you put that down? And, you know, and then I go and just smile for one in the row. Big grumpy faces, like, so it is funny, isn't it? Like,
yeah. And it's a balance, because it is nice, and when you see them coming up a year later and you go, oh, I remember that, but it's the balance, and it's about fully immersing yourself in the real life experience and not just the digital version of it, you know. Yeah,
totally. And then as Neil says, where do they go? They go up in the cloud. We don't print out photographs anymore, so he says I never see them. They go on your phone and then we never see them again, which is so true. So what do you feel about that, Patrick?
I'm just sitting there appreciating the great idea I had a couple of years ago. When it comes to special occasions and things like that, and I'm just thinking back Saturday, you were describing taking photographs and things like that. I know someone that it's a complete joy for them to take photographs.
Yeah.
And I invite them along and I say, take all the photos that you want and send me what you get. And I can just show up that day, talk to everybody that's there, hang about, be fully present, jump onto the photos, so it's not just Claire and the Waynes, it's like the whole lot is together. And the man sends me a bill. It's Jerry Gormley, by the way, he's brilliant. If anybody's looking, one local. But that's his joy. His joy is actually to take photographs.
Brilliant.
And so bring that into the mix if you can for certain occasions, and then just you're able to be more what we're describing, present and things like that. And then there's a joy to them when they come through. They see what photos was got. Like, that's class. I could never have done one like that.
Yeah.
You know, you would never enjoy the day as much. You know that kind of way. And that's just one example of, as we're describing there. Like my accountant loves getting numbers sent her, you know,
Yeah.
and there's people that love taking photographs.
Yes.
So
You know, and it's so the other thing then that I was even thinking, because I was looking the way I look at words, because there'd be people maybe listening to this and they can't really connect with the word joy for whatever reason. So what I would have done at a point, and still do, and I did it today, I would use joy. I would write it like a maths equation. So I would have equal sign and then I would joy, and then I would ask myself, what equals joy? And so before that today, I wrote down, there's definitely gratitude. There's an element of gratitude and joy. When someone's feeling joy, they're feeling grateful. Yeah. And they're also feeling content. So you could also say contentment plus gratitude equals joy. But joy is a wee bit more than that. Yeah. And I was thinking again, well, what's the other element that I haven't mapped together for that? And the other word to come up then was fulfillment. So a sense of fulfillment, contentment, and gratitude equals a feeling of joy. And I said, is that, or what's, and then I started to think of examples. So got this lovely t-shirt just today, Denise. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You know, when someone had sent that across to me and gave that to me as a gift, it was the thought behind the gift that was someone actually thought about me and appreciated something. And I thought, that's well nice. I felt joy. And I thought, what if I knew I bought myself a couple of t-shirts and clothes last week, and I knew they were coming through the postman was bringing them. I didn't feel so much joy. It was just, that's grand. So I was asking myself, what's that element? And I wrote down beside it, then it's like, fulfillment plus contentment plus gratitude without expectation.
Yes. Wow.
Equals joy. Because a kid doesn't even expect, isn't it? But I thought that was, but it's a great thing to do for anybody that can't connect to a word, or you might hear someone else. Like I was chatting to someone today, and they says, so how about we could meet early someday next week? And I said, that's grand. And I was like, well, what's early to you? You know, because early to some people, they're up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's not me. You know, so but words are the same thing. It's a subjective kind of a thing. You know, it's like, well, and just to be clear about it for yourself, not what someone else thinks of a word. What does that word point to? What does that mean to you? And for me, that's one exercise I would usually sort of think, right, I don't fully understand it. What does it mean? What does that equal? And then, well, that's what I've got today just for that.
So say that again.
Week, 6 months.
Yeah, so joy to you is, what, say them again, what are the words again? Yeah.
Fulfillment plus contentment plus gratitude without expectation. Or there's no element of expectation there. That equals joy. But if you ask me in 6 months, then again, I might have a different way of saying it.
No.
You know what I mean?
That's beautiful.
Because it's continually, everything evolves and changes our experience of things. And
oh, so true. Do you know, I feel as well the words serenity and joy are interlinked too. Like, because when I was again delivering on my online program, Accessing Your Positivity Palette, and we were going through the 10 emotions, and like joy obviously being one of them. And the other thing is serenity. And I really thought, what is serenity? Serenity to me meant like maybe sitting, doing, you know, meditating or being quiet. But then one day I was like sitting in the sunroom. I was sitting with one of my favorite books. I was doing some studying. I was highlighting, and I was sitting with a nice cup of Earl Grey tea. Emer was finishing her college work, a final major project. And Neil had some kind of funky jazz music in the background. He was outside pottering with his plants. It's a beautiful day. I was looking out, saw the lambs outside. The girls had got me this lovely rug for Mother's Day. I had this wrapped around me. Orla came in and she was probably on her phone watching TikToks or something. And I just thought, oh my goodness, this is serenity. This is joy. Let me appreciate this. My family was around me. The dog was at my feet. There was one of the cats behind me. Neil was outside. And I thought, we had just such a lovely space. And I just thought, I just felt those both serenity and joy. And that's why I think sometimes when we get to kind of look at words and explore them and feel them, we can look out for them. We can be in that moment then and go, cool, this is serenity. I would have thought serenity was sitting meditating, or I thought it would have been looking at a sunset. I never expected this to be serenity, but this is serenity. And this also is joy, because I felt so joyful. Mind you, I think about 10 minutes later, Orla got up to do something and I asked her to do something and she says, "You're so annoying, you don't have to get me to do that, blah, blah, blah." And the serenity was kind of gone because we had a stroppy 15-year-old having a talking back or something. But anyway, it's going to be fleeting, but that'll come back again, and you have to be here now and be present in that moment of the joy, the gratitude, serenity, fulfillment, whatever it is, contentment. It's all those things, isn't it?
I was just thinking there, Denise, and then you said it, the serenity in that, the picture you painted there was everybody was doing something that brought them their own individual joy, and everybody else was respectful and accepting of what they were doing. Nobody was saying, "I want you to do this, I want you to do that." But then once you said, "Will you do this?" or whatever, then everything got upset. And so for me, the serenity was the joy, the individual joy, and everybody accepting everybody else exactly where they were at and not trying to change them or upset them in any way.
Yeah.
And that's the serenity. Funny, it's actually just brought something else to my mind too. My husband, you both know him quite well, but he's quite different to me. I'm a lot more expressive and a lot more emotional, a lot more, don't want to say flamboyant, but I'm a lot more expressive than he is, and he's very steady Eddie, very practical, very. And sometimes I just say to him, do you even know me? Do you even care or something? You just get like frazzled. Sometimes you're just like, who is this creature I'm living with? And what, like, has he just fell out of the sky or what's going on? But then we had a big discussion the other night. We were just talking about how we see the world and how we express ourselves, and we understand each other, but we show love in completely different ways. So his way of showing love to me is bringing me a hot cup of coffee, making sure there's food in the cupboard, or bringing us hot meals and making sure we have clean clothes to wear and things like that. That's his way of showing love. Whereas I do the things that he finds difficult or that's not his genius kind of way.
Yeah.
And I actually got quite emotional about it because I was sitting going, my God, we're this well-oiled machine between the two of us, and we both do completely different ends of the scale stuff, but the machine wouldn't run without one of us, and we express our love in completely different ways, but we know we're loved, and between the two of us we have a ship that's cruising in the right direction type of thing. But if he decided to down tools and be all hearts and flowers and hugs, and the whole show would derail altogether. Whereas that's my thing, and we need the two different expressions of love to have a happy, healthy relationship and a happy, healthy functioning family. And I would very often try to sometimes say to him, you should be more this, or why can't you be more that? But actually, no, if he was one bit different, then we wouldn't be us and we wouldn't have the healthy relationship that we have. So it's completely what you said, accepting the person exactly who they are and exactly where they're at, because that's what we need in this relationship and in this.
And that's what brings joy to your family. That would be the same as us. Because Neil and I would be very different in so many ways, but we work so well together as well. And I'm sure it's the same with you and Claire, Patrick. There's different things that you do, but you can see that everything's there. And sometimes, as we know, our partners will like crack us up at times, but of course we never crack them up. We're so perfect. We're always so joyful and wonderful.
No comment.
No comment is right. But what the thing too is, I suppose, again, is about learning about joy from our children. Is there anything you'd like to say about that? I mean, I'm at kind of a different stage to you guys now, from the teenagers and the young adult. Like Emer's 18, she's about to go off to university in September. Orla's 15, and we're going through the Harry Enfield Kevin character stage there, but I can see through lockdown, I know it was hard for Orla, but when it came to do some dancing online, her dancing and her drama, that's, that is her joy. That is her total joy. And she's they practicing the other night for they're doing, her school's doing Chicago, and if I heard and all that jazz about 50 times coming from upstairs, her practicing for the audition, and she's a dance. But I mean, oh my goodness, young girl lights up with dance and with drama and anything to do with that. And that's what I love now too about young people. I feel they can really follow their joy. It's not like, oh, you have to do this at school, you have to do, you know, you have to finish your, you know, go back to school, do your A levels, do this and do a profession. You know, I know the joy. We have really said to our girls, go and do the joy that you love. And Emer's is fashion, it's art and design, so she's going to study that, fashion promotion. Orla's is drama and dance, so she wants to go and do creative and performing arts and then go and study professional dance and musical theatre. So please God, that's what she wants to do. So I think it's wonderful now that we, in where I am now with my kids, wouldn't have been like that in my day, where it was like, you have to do this, that and the other. So what do you feel? I know your kids are younger. Well, Patrick, you have an all. Patrick has 6 children. If people don't know, Sarah has 3. I've got 2, and like you've got 1 coming into a teenager, and then yours just starting school now. Dexter's, is he at school or?
No, he's in preschool. He's be starting primary school in September. Patrick, do you want to take this one first? You've got more varied experience than me.
I'm trying to think, what's the question exactly? Is it what is it that where do I see the joy more with the range, or what has that taught me, or what? Yeah,
well, I suppose I started off talking about joy in our children, and then you know, watching them and their joy, and I suppose it's encouraging them. It's I can just see such great self-awareness in my kids compared to what I would have had at that age, and I feel we're just more aware, and that now we can share that with our children to like encourage them to do what they want to do. Like, I mean, I think years ago, if somebody says, I want to go and do, you know, a degree in professional dance and musical theatre, somebody kind of would have looked at you, thought, oh, you'll never get a job out of that, blah, 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 where it's like, go and be your joy, because that's where you're going to excel. So, you know, how do you feel you'll encourage your children with that, Patrick?
I guess not by being so rigid.
Yeah.
I think that's the short answer. The longer answer to it is help point to them, or notice where their joy is, and point that to them and see if they agree. And if they agree with that, I think we said, just before this call, I think me and Sarah had a very similar conversation, because we had asked the question. I'll slightly go off on a tangent and then we'll come back. But we'd asked the question, you know, hopefully when the Ranger all grew up, this, that, and the other, that me and our other half would have still have an established relationship of some sort, and it's not 2 strangers.
Yeah.
And and my response to that was, you know, something that I found helpful was stay interested in what they're interested in. So what my wife's interested in now was not the same interest when I met her 13 years ago. And been able to have that conversation genuinely, going, what are you actually interested in now? And in the same way, the same with the kids, what are you interested in? Right? Why are you interested in that?
Yeah.
I never knew that. And so listen, and just listen. Do all the reasons, rhymes and reasons to why. And we're like, well, that's class. And then I think the next step for that, then I was like, well, how can I help you move in that direction? Or how can I help you experience more of that? And I think it's the same for kids. And then things change. You know, there's things I was interested in 10 years ago I'm not interested in now. Some people have seen a photograph of a cake that I did last week. My past life, not that long ago, I was an extremely good baker. That's very good with wedding cakes, desserts, things like that. Trained as a pastry chef in Belfast and a baker and things like that. And if you ask 99 times out of 100 who cooks in the house, it's Claire.
Right.
You know, I don't have a joy with it as much, but whenever someone asks me to do something like that, no bother, I'll do it. And the girls had asked me, Daddy, go and do me the cake, and I was like, okay. And so recognizing things change and not to be so rigid with it. I think that's where I was pointing at the start. Don't be so rigid. Okay, what's this new updated thing that you're interested in? And then again, work with that. And then how does that marry into what you learned before? You know, that kind of way, because it's not that I don't like baking anymore. It's when I left school, I'd ask myself the question, well, people or my granny would say to me, well, just do something that you love. And I love to cook, so that's what I did. And I was very happy for a long time until I wasn't.
Right.
And then I found something else. And then I found something else to love.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of way. And so
Yeah.
it's been okay. Well, my kids are going to change their mind loads of times.
Oh, of course they are.
Because if you ask most people, what did you say you wanted to be when you grew up? And some people say a postman, fireman, policeman, all that kind of stuff. And I'm only speaking for the men here.
Yeah.
Usually. You know, or I want to be a bus driver, train driver, things like that. That's the ones that I sort of hear ones when I would ask that question. And not one of them people are that now.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of way.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's just to be more flexible, and allowing the joy to shine through in whatever form it takes.
Yeah. Yeah, knowing your joy, that's brilliant. And just as you said, encouraging them and listening and feeling into their joy. And then I suppose finding out a wee bit about it. You know, I know with Emer, her big thing was art and design. And rather than stay on and do like 3 A levels on the art or drama and English, it was better for her to go to Northwest Regional College and do an extended diploma in art and design, where she had just much more freedom to explore. And that really, really suited her. And it gave her a sense of maturity now that she's going to have going away to university, that, you know, she's not coming straight from school. So I think that's an amazing thing too. So we nurtured that. And then with Orla, we know she wants to do creative and performing arts. So it's like, no, you don't have to stay on to A levels. You know, you can go and do this because that's your joy. So it's then as a parent finding out and going and exploring and finding out what will suit their needs.
And I think
sorry, Patrick.
There's an element there as well that it's making sure you for a kid. Kids don't know what half the words that we use mean. And so it's checking in with them and saying, are you interested in that? Does that make you happy? Because they might just say, no, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
And then ask, well, what do you like? And then help them find the words or create the pictures or the map in their mind of what it is they actually do like. Yeah. And notice it back to them, because they mightn't have that be fully equipped. They put a word to it or a picture to it or an expression to it. And they notice that back to them. I think it's a key step. It's saying, look, is this something you're interested in, or does that make you happy? And then if they agree with you, great. If they don't agree with you, find out then what does, and then use, instead of pushing Wayne's forward to what we think that they like, find out what they actually like, but help them help them sort of put the pieces together.
Yeah. Well, I'll give a prime example, hands up, by lesson learned with this. And it was so, Orla told me about this morning. When Orla was picking her GCSEs, there was one, she had a choice between health and social care and sports studies. And because she used to be did gymnastics, and she liked doing cross country, and she's doing a lot of dance, I said, you know, I think sports studies would be better for you, Orla. And she says, well, I don't know about it. Maybe I want to do health and social care. And I says, no, honestly, I really think so. She'd picked all the rest herself, but I put her towards that. I really think sports studies would be better for you, especially since you're going to be on and doing dance and all that. So she picked sports studies. She doesn't like it. She keeps saying, Mommy, I wish I hadn't done sports studies. You know, her friend's doing, friend Kira's doing health and social studies, and apparently it's easier. Well, I don't know if it is, but she'd prefer, it's better, apparently. So yesterday, the principal came in to their class and asked to sit for half an hour. And she came over to Orla and she says, hello, Orla, can I have a look through your book? Orla told me this morning. I was like mortified. And she says, can I look through your book? And Orla let her too. And she says, well, Orla, do you like, you chose sports studies. Do you like sports studies? And my Orla says, no. She says, why did you pick sports studies? My mum said I should have done it. She asked one of the other girls as well, do you like sports studies? And the girl says, yeah, well, it's all right. But when the principal left, she says, I don't like it. But she kind of, she says she didn't want to say that. And then the teacher says to Orla, what did you say? You said no. And Orla goes, yeah, but the teacher just laughed. And Orla just finds it. It's not what she thought it was going to be. But I thought, good, wasn't that such a big lesson for me? She had said, no, I think I'll do health and social care. I was like, go on, do this. And it was the only time I've kind of pushed her towards anything. I thought, this will be better for you to do sports studies, Orla, and she doesn't enjoy it. And I laughed at her honesty, telling the principal of the school, like with 1,600 students there, had come into their class, and Orla went, do you like sports studies? No. I would never have the nerve to tell the principal of the school that, So yeah, so that big lesson then, and it was kind of, when she told me that this morning, she was kind of laughing about it, and I went, yeah, well, Orla, you spoke your truth, and you have another year to do it, and you'll get through it, like. But yeah, so anyway.
But isn't it wonderful that even on that, because it unfolded the way that it did, isn't it beautiful now that Orla knows that I have this thing called an inner voice or an inner wisdom, that was right. And I know it was right because I went down the path of doing it the other way. So it's not wasted, the decision. And then she can always leave school and do the health and social care.
Oh, no.
It's being flexible then again. If she really wanted to do it, she could, that kind of way.
Yeah. Well, I think it was just one of her choices. It was either and it was just one of her GCSEs, because she just needed that to make up her 9 GCSEs. But once she leaves, it'll be creative and performing arts at the Northwest Regional College. Very good. So it was just one, but that was quite funny this morning, and it would just show, it was a big lesson for me. I was the one that said, I think this would be good for you because you're doing dance. It would fit better with your subject list. But anyway, but the fact that she just said no to the principal, I thought was hilarious. So Sarah, sorry I brought it in there. What's your take on, joy and choices for, for children and the way forward with that?
There was so much in what you said that sparked thought in me, because you both know my Daisy, like, she's the middle child syndrome, but she's so like feisty and fiery. I don't know where she gets it from, like, but she's just her own wee person, like, and she'll insist. And this morning as well too, Mommy, I want lipstick on to go to the playground, and then she'll come in a pair of wellies and a rainbow tutu and lipstick to go to the playground. And just when you said you're mortified, like with Orla saying to the principal, I'm sort of sitting going, if anybody sees this child in the playground with lipstick on her, a tutu and a pair of wellies, they'll be saying, is she no mother? But that's but I let her go that way because she's happy that way. And who cares? Who cares what anybody thinks of me as a mother? Like, as long as she loves me and I love her, does it really matter what anyone else thinks of us? And that's the thing. And I think that's probably the Irish mummy thing. And we probably grew up in a thing where it was like, oh, don't be disgracing the family name kind of thing. And it's all about keeping up appearances and all this and that. So we have to be so careful. And I catch myself not projecting that onto my daughter or myself, because I don't, at the end of the day, as long as we can close the door at night and say, we know we love each other and we know that we are allowing ourselves to be the best version of ourselves from daddy right down to baby. Who cares what anyone else thinks? Because we're not here to please anyone else or be anyone else. So, and that's the thing. So if she wants to go to the playground in wellies and a rainbow tutu, if she's happy, so be it. And then it's like allowing her to express, and that's again something I've become really aware of too. I have exactly the same self-esteem hang-ups and body confidence issues and stuff that my mother had and her mother had. So, and I'm determined to break that cycle because I don't, like, I will not wear something when my arms are uncovered because I've got such a hang-up about my arms. Where did that come from? My mother. You know what I mean? So it's about breaking that cycle and about not passing on our insecurities or our hang-ups, especially to our girls, I think, more so maybe. And maybe that's an incorrect generalization because I know boys can have hang-ups too, but about catching that and binning it and not allowing it to filter down and actually allowing them to be whoever it is they want to be, as long as they're the fullest expression of themselves and not dimming their light for anyone else. Without going, but remember who you are and remember you can't be letting the family down or letting the side down. Because who created that rule? Like, that's a load of junk. And we, like, what happened? Well, I know I can only speak for myself, I suppose, but what happened to us when we were told that? We went and did the exact opposite. We were total hellraisers, like. So you actually rebelled against it. So by saying to them, whatever you want to be, whoever you want to be, and if you want to go in polka dot trousers, good on you. If you're happy, then they'll probably actually be a lot more balanced than us trying to condition them and make them mold them into mini versions of us, because I wouldn't wish that on anyone to be a mini version of me. My God,
I know.
But so actually by just allowing them to be, they'll probably be more balanced than if we try to shoehorn them into something.
I felt that too, because I used to be the opposite. Whatever my mom said, do. I did the opposite, and the girls then laugh when I tell us. They say, "Oh, Mom, you were such a rebel. You were such a rebel." And, you know, my mum will kind of say that to them too. "Oh, she was," and I'm like, "Stop saying that, Grandma. Then she thinks she's cool." I won't say one thing, I did the opposite, but so it's just allowing them, and everybody's on their own journey. Obviously, you have to have boundaries as well. But, you know, you have to have boundaries, but yeah, that's allowing that. But you know what, before we go now, I wanted to read a bit out of this book. This is about our body and about feeling. And I just thought this book here is called The Art of Living by Bob Proctor. And I just want to read this wee paragraph, right? "Isn't that amazing? You see, the thinker is like the computer processor. When it is finely tuned, it works really, really fast. You can think, and what you think ultimately produces the results in your life. It's law. I'm going to tell you something that I learned beyond a shadow of a doubt. I have shared this with you before, but I want you to re-emphasize it. The thoughts that you think and turn over to your emotional mind instantly by law control the vibratory rate of your body. Your body is a mass of magnetic energy. It truly is. If you put your body in front of an infrared camera in complete dark room, you see it glistening in a radiating form. And if you could hear your body, it would sound like a symphony. Yet to the naked eye, it just looks like a thing. But it's not a thing. The body is one of the most magnificent instruments on the planet. You live in one. It's what you think that is going to dictate what your body is going to do. We know that our actions produce our results. If we want to change our results, we have to change our actions. However, if you don't go to the thought, the actions won't change. Well, they might change temporarily, but believe me, the thoughts that you think repeatedly become fixed in your subconscious mind. And those that are thoughts that are going to determine what happens to your life. Make no mistake about it. So isn't that amazing? And with you, Patrick, doing your hypnosis and all that, like it's big about the subconscious mind. So we were talking about joy and about feeling it in our bodies. So it's like the thought, what is it, as you said earlier, Patrick, what the word means to you, and then thinking of the word and thinking of like contentment, gratitude, serenity, happiness, fulfillment. And it's when we get into the feeling, then that's what brings us through your body. So it's the thought, the feeling, and the two, the mind and the heart have to be in coherence. And that's really what it's all about. That's what you hear Dr. Joe Dispenza talk about, Bruce Lipton, you know, Eckhart Tolle, you know, Wayne Dyer. That's what they all, well, Proctor, that's what they're all talking about. It's the brain, it's the mind, you know, and I have a thing here, the mind is energy. The mind is energy. So the minute you have a thought, that is the energy that is going through you. And I find sometimes if to feel for joy, if I'm thinking, oh, I'm not feeling joy right now, sometimes, of course, if feelings come up, we have to feel the feelings and we have to let them out and we have to release them. You know, we can't just go about feeling joy all the time. We have to like punch a pillow, go for a walk, shout, scream. We have to let it out. We can't keep it down. What we resist persists. But if we're wanting to feel more, and then we release what we have to release, feel joy, it's like, I think the first thing to me would be gratitude. Look around you, look at your kids, look at where you live, look at, you know, for me, I look at Chico sometimes, our border collie, and I'm like, oh, we're just so thankful to find you. You're such a gorgeous dog. It's just wee things like that. And it's just having that joy, the gratitude. And then with the gratitude comes the joy. So the two are very intertwined. Mm-hmm. So anybody got any last words about joy before we head? Because we're nearly on an hour now.
Well, I would just say it's been a joy to chat to you two ladies today.
It's always a joy, Patrick, to chat to you. And Sarah?
And I was just again thinking about joy, and I think, well, Patrick might appreciate this one because he's all into his words. And joy just came to me there. Just own you. Joy, just own you. Be the fullest expression of yourself. Yeah. Don't dim your light or try to mold yourself into anyone else or be like anyone else. And actually, when you're feeling, just what you said, own the feeling. So if you're feeling down, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling unfulfilled in some way, express it. Let it out. Don't make yourself wrong for feeling that way. But say, okay, I feel this, I'm owning it, but how can I shift it? How can I change it? And sometimes all it takes is one breath and to look at something through grateful eyes, and it instantly shifts your vibration into a better place.
Totally. And I feel another thing is to link in with friends. You know, and you know, I know you're going to join us some morning too, and if anybody else wants to join, Patrick and I will pop on Zoom, and we'll do, like, if there's something that we don't really want to do, but it's nice to have another company doing it and do those tasks that your to-do list or your to-do list. We call it our, you know, Patrick named it Get Shit Done. So we'll come on Zoom, we'll have a quick hello, and then we'll just get on to stuff, and then we'll even make phone calls and do whatever, but we're there, you know. So it's like working as a team, and you're finding joy, and your mate's there, and you might throw something past them. What do you think of this? And then you'll say, right, okay, we'll do something for about another 45 minutes, an hour, and let's have a coffee break, have a chat again. So, you know, it's just that, get shit done. Don't feel like that we in the brackets. And another thing too is friendships, you know. Leaving, we'll know Sarah and Patrick will leave each other messages. I have other amazing friends out there too that I will leave them a silly message on, you know, on WhatsApp, and they'll leave one back, and you'll just, laughter just brings such joy. And I'll know throughout the day, I'll send you, I both sent you a wee funny thing, didn't I, yesterday? It's about spiritual people having a fight like that. And I'll say something funny, and I'll go, I know I have friends that will really like that, and I'll send it off and that. So I think we have to share joy. So if I see something, I'm like, I know who's going to like that, and I'll send it out to the people that I know are going to enjoy it. So we have to spread the joy, share the laughs, share the crack, and and when we're feeling down, reach out to friends, reach out to people who we know are going to lift us and bring us back up to that place again, because sometimes we just need that, don't we? We need to be told that, not told, I suppose, what would be the word? Not told.
Reminded. We need to be reminded.
Be reminded that of our, you know, what we have, the brag bag comes out, you know, all the things that we are if we're feeling a bit flat. And, you know, we're going to feel flat. We're going to feel like that. But so we have our friends around us to help us, you know, bring us to that point of joy. Okay, everybody, such an amazing time having you on. Patrick, where can people find you with all your coaching and your hypnosis? And if you can put your hand to anything, how can people catch you?
People get in touch with me either Facebook or wherever they find me online. I have a website, patrickdurey.com.
Right, okay. And Sarah, where can people get you for coaching, readings, motivational talks, your topics, whatever? Where can people get you?
Yeah, so I've got wheeliemama.com or Wheelie Mama on Facebook either, or just my personal profile, wherever. Brilliant.
Okay. And me, Denise Devlin, positiveparties.com. It's time to get out there again and get your teams being positive, being joyful, and of course we delivered in such a fun way, using all our positive psychology, neurolinguistic program, cognitive behavioral therapy, and it is such a joy to deliver the workshops, and people have joy when they're doing it, because it's like a party style, and it's just what the world needs right now. And we also do them online, and obviously we're looking for more licensees as well. We have Francesca in Germany, but we want more positive parties licensees around the world. So if anybody's watching and wants that, get in touch with me either on Facebook or at Denise Devlin at positiveparties.com. Okay, everybody, I will just stop this live now. Just want to wave at everybody, and thanks for coming. It was so joyful being here, having this chat today, and we'll see you all next week on the Positive People Show. Bye.